letter comes, or maybe it's an email. You see the sender and your heart does a strange jump, a mix of hope and dread. You open it and the words confirm your deepest worry. Your visa is over. Perhaps you didn't see the date creeping up on you. Perhaps you were not ready for it, caught up in the chaos of life. A job that ended suddenly, a family crisis that took all your energy. Maybe you were sick, or you just couldn't face the mountain of paperwork. Now a cold fear washes over you. Your mind races with questions. What happens now? Where do I go? Who can I tell? You feel frozen, isolated in a country that suddenly feels less like home. Take a breath, a deep, slow one. You are not the first person to be in this situation. You will not be the last. This moment of panic is completely normal. There is a clear path forward, but it doesn't begin with panic. It begins with getting the facts straight. The moment your rights change. So what does overstaying your visa actually mean? It's a simple definition for a complicated situation. Every visa or leave to remain in the UK comes with an expiry date. A sticker in your passport, a date on your biometric residence permit, the BRP, the day after that date. If you have not left the country or made a valid application to extend your stay, you officially become an overstayer. It's not a gradual change, it's like a switch has been flipped. One day you have rights to live, work, study, and the next day many of those rights are gone. This matters immensely because the UK government has created what it calls a hostile environment. This isn't just about immigration officers. It's a system that weaves into many parts of everyday life. The aim is to make it as difficult as possible to live in the UK without a valid visa. This is why doors that were once open to you suddenly close. If you submit an application to extend your visa before the old one expires, this is called an in-time application. However, if you apply even one day after your visa has expired, it is a late application. This is why acting fast is your most powerful tool. When you overstay, the risks are not just about being stopped by the police or facing removal. The challenges are woven into the very fabric of your daily existence, making normal life almost impossible. Let's talk about work. You are legally barred from working. If you continue to work for an employer, they risk a massive fine and you risk being arrested. Some people are tempted to work cash in hand, but this is incredibly risky. It leaves you open to exploitation by unscrupulous employers who know you can't report them. They might underpay you. They might force you to work in unsafe conditions. They might refuse to pay you at all. Then there is the issue of housing. Finding a safe place to live becomes a huge hurdle. Under the right to rent scheme, most landlords in England are legally required to check the immigration status of all adult tenants. If you are an overstayer, you will fail this check. This can lead to homelessness. Your finances are also at risk. The law requires banks to close the accounts of individuals who are identified as being in the UK without valid leave. You might wake up one day to find your bank account frozen or closed with no access to your savings. This can be devastating, cutting you off from your own money and making it impossible to pay for essentials like food or transport. Finally, let's consider healthcare. However, for most other NHS treatment, you will be considered an overseas visitor and will be billed for the cost of your care. In a moment of crisis, the best way to regain control is to focus on small, manageable tasks. Your first move is administrative and critical. Establish the facts with absolute certainty. Find your documents and confirm the exact expiry date. Pull out your passport. Look for the visa vignette, the sticker. BRP, check the front for the expiry date. Digital visa. Log into your UKVI account and view the end date. Write the date down. Once you have the date, count the number of days that have passed since it expired. This is a critical piece of information. An overstay of a few days is viewed very differently from an overstay of several months or years. Next, you need to become your own archivist. Start gathering every single piece of paper and digital evidence that relates to your life in the UK. Payslips, employment contracts, rental agreements, utility bills in your name, bank statements. These documents create a timeline and prove your life and ties to the UK. If your delay in applying was caused by a specific event, gathering proof of that event is absolutely vital. Section 5. The Crossroads. Your options inside the UK. Now that you have your facts and documents in order, you are at a crossroads. You have a few potential paths forward while you are still in the UK. Your decision will depend on your specific circumstances, how long you have overstayed, and the reasons for it. The first and best option if it's still available, is to make a valid application to stay. You need to check if you're eligible for any visa route. For example, have you been offered a job by a licensed sponsor that could lead to a skilled worker visa? Are you in a genuine and subsisting relationship with a British citizen or settled person, which could make you eligible for a family visa? The timing of this application is everything. If you apply before your current visa expires, you are in time. This is the gold standard. If your visa has already expired, you will be making a late application. The immigration rules allow for a late application to be accepted if it is made within 14 days of the visa expiring, provided you have a good reason for the delay. If more than 14 days have passed, it becomes much more difficult to make a valid application from within the UK. Most visa routes will be closed to you. However, there are some exceptions, particularly for applications based on family and private life under human rights grounds. Then your most realistic option is to plan to leave the UK. This might feel like a defeat, but taking control of your departure is far better than waiting to be caught and forcibly removed. Section 6. Planning a safe exit. How to leave the UK voluntarily. If you have decided that leaving the UK is your best or only option, it is vital to do it in a planned and controlled way. This is known as voluntary departure or voluntary return. It means you are leaving on your own terms, not being forcibly removed by the Home Office. This is a significant distinction that can have a positive impact on your ability to return to the UK in the future. The first practical step is to book your travel. Book a flight. Book a ferry ticket to your home country. Keep a copy of the ticket confirmation as evidence of your intention to leave. Once your travel is booked, you should start to methodically wrap up your life in the UK. Inform your landlord that you will be vacating the property, giving them as much notice as you can. Settle any outstanding bills for utilities, transfer any remaining funds. On the day you leave, make sure you collect and keep proof of your exit. Your flight boarding pass is the most important document. Take a clear photograph of it. When you pass through border control at the airport or port, your departure is electronically recorded. Section 7. The long shadow. How overstaying affects future visas. An overstay on your immigration record is like a long shadow. It can follow you and affect your future plans to travel, not just to the UK, but sometimes to other countries as well. When you apply for any future UK visa, one of the standard questions is, have you ever stayed in the UK beyond the expiry date of your visa? You must answer this question truthfully. Lying on an application is a serious offence and will almost certainly lead to a refusal and potentially a 10-year ban for deception. The consequences of your overstay will depend on several factors. How long did you overstay? Did you leave voluntarily? Were you forcibly removed? If you overstayed for a very short period, less than 30 days, and left voluntarily at your own expense, the impact might be minimal. However, if you overstayed for a longer period, more than 90 days, and left voluntarily, you could face a mandatory 12-month ban from re-entering the UK. The situation becomes much more serious if you are removed from the UK at the government's expense. This can lead to re-entry bans of 2 years, 5 years, or even 10 years, depending on the circumstances. This is where the evidence you gathered comes in handy. Being able to provide proof of a voluntary departure can help to rebuild trust and persuade the decision-maker to grant you a new visa. Section 8. Finding help and knowing your basic rights. Even when you are an overstayer, you are not stripped of all your rights. You are still a human being on UK soil, and you have certain fundamental protections. It is crucial to know what help you're entitled to and where you can turn. First and foremost, you have the right to seek legal advice. You can speak to a qualified and regulated immigration lawyer or advisor, Office of the Immigration Services Commissioner, OISC. You also have a right to be safe from harm and exploitation. If you are a victim of a crime, you have the right to report it to the police. Domestic abuse, modern slavery. In an emergency, you should always call 999. Charities and support organizations can help. Food banks for emergency food supplies. You are entitled to emergency or immediately necessary treatment at an A&E department. Your children have a right to attend state school up to the age of 16. Contact your country's embassy. You're not completely alone. Official channels and charities can provide guidance and support. Section 9. Your action plan. A simple checklist for clarity and calm. Your action plan. A simple checklist for clarity and calm. The feeling of being overwhelmed is normal, but a clear, simple plan can cut through the noise. Let's turn all this information into a straightforward action list. This is your guide for the next few days. Just focus on the next single step and then move to the one after. This is how you move from a place of fear to a place of action and clarity. First 24 hours, fact-finding. Find your passport BRP card. Locate the exact expiry date of your visa. Write it down. Research a regulated immigration advisor. Book an appointment if applying to stay. If planning to leave, you are taking back control. You are building a path forward. You can too.